I was standing in the hotel lobby holding flowers when the valet said it. "Your wife left with another man about an hour ago, sir." I didn't move. The roses felt heavier than they should have. 24 of them. Red. Her favorite. I'd driven straight from a job site to bring them to her. Anniversary surprise. 2 weeks early. The valet was young, maybe 23. He looked like he wished he hadn't said anything. "I thought you should know," he added quietly. They got into a black Mercedes. He had his hand on her back. I nodded once, then I pulled out my phone. Her last text was from 3 hours ago. Spa night with the girls. "Don't wait up. Love you." I stood there for a moment. Marble floors, soft piano music from somewhere. People walking past me in business clothes. Then I typed one sentence and hit send. "Enjoy your last night in my house." I walked out, got in my truck, made 3 phone calls. By morning, everything would be different. "My name is David Foster. I'm 41. I've been in Denver for 16 years, building a business most people don't notice. I develop commercial properties. Not the flashy kind. Strip malls, medical offices, storage units, the boring stuff that actually pays. I started in 2009 with one distressed shopping center in Aurora. Bought it for $400,000 during the crash. Fixed it, leased it, sold it 3 years later for over $1 million. I kept going. By the time I turned 37, I owned 19 properties across the metro area. Total value around $52 million. Annual income just over $3 million. My wife Rachel had no idea. I met Rachel 9 years ago at a fundraiser. She worked in medical device sales, made good money, around $130 a year. She was confident, smart, the kind of person who could talk to anyone. I was there because I donated to the cause. Some children's hospital event. She came up to me at the bar. "You look like you'd rather be somewhere else." I smiled. That obvious? Only to someone who feels the same way. We talked for 2 hours. She told me she was tired of men who couldn't handle a woman with her own career. I told her I was tired of people who only cared about money. "So what do you do?" she asked. "Real estate," I said. "Small properties, nothing exciting." It wasn't a lie, just incomplete. We dated for a year, got married in 2016. I never filled in the rest. I'd learned that lesson before. When I made my first $1 million, I was dating someone named Jennifer. The moment she found out, everything changed. Suddenly she wanted a bigger ring, a nicer place, designer everything. She didn't want me. She wanted access. So when I met Rachel, I decided to keep things simple. I told her I owned a few buildings, that I did okay. I drove a normal truck, a 2014 Silverado. We lived in a nice house in Littleton, nothing flashy. I didn't wear expensive watches or fly first class. Rachel made her own money. She paid for her car, her clothes, her expenses. I paid the mortgage and utilities. We split vacations. It felt balanced. She never asked about my business. Never pushed to see tax returns or bank statements. I never offered. But over the years, small things started to surface. My friend Lisa's husband just bought her a Range Rover. We never go anywhere nice anymore. I saw the most beautiful coat at Saks, $4,000. Can you imagine? She'd say it like she was mocking the price, but her eyes said something different. The affair started about 7 months ago. I didn't catch it right away. I was closing a deal on a new property, managing tenants, handling repairs. But the signs were there, late nights, new perfume. She started dressing differently, more effort, more care, not for me. His name was Eric Vaughn. I found out by accident. I was picking up her dry cleaning. She'd asked me to grab it on my way home. A receipt fell out of the bag. It wasn't for dry cleaning. It was for a hotel, the Crawford, downtown, $470 a night. Date, 3 weeks earlier. The same night she told me she was at a regional sales meeting. I stood in that parking lot staring at the receipt. Then I folded it, put it in my pocket, drove home. I didn't say anything. Instead, I called someone. His name was Tony, former police detective. Now he worked private cases. I'd used him once before for a background check on a tenant who turned out to be running a scam. "I need to know everything," I told him over the phone. "You sure about this?" he asked. I'm sure. 2 weeks later, Tony handed me a folder at a coffee shop near my office. He didn't say much, just slid it across the table. Inside, photos, timestamps, hotel records, restaurant receipts, Rachel and Eric, laughing at lunch, walking into hotels at 1 in the afternoon, kissing in a parking garage. Eric Vaughn, 36 years old, investment banker, drove a black Mercedes S-Class. Everything I wasn't, flashy, expensive, loud. Tony had even pulled his financials. The guy was drowning in debt, big salary, bigger loans. He looked rich. He wasn't. But Rachel didn't know that. She just saw the car, the suits, the restaurants with French names. I sat in my office that night. Folder open. Photos spread across my desk. I should have felt broken, angry, hurt. Instead, I felt clear. She didn't love me. She loved the idea of what she thought I should be. And now she'd found someone who looked the part. Fine. But first, I was going to make sure she understood exactly what she was walking away from. I spent the next 3 weeks preparing. Not emotionally, legally. I called my attorney. His name is Gregory Fan. We'd worked together for years. Every property deal, every lease, every contract. I need everything protected, I told him. Expecting trouble? Preventing it. Gregory walked me through it step by step. First, all my properties were held in LLCs, separate legal entities. My name wasn't on any deeds. The companies owned them. Second, I'd established those LLCs before the marriage, premarital assets. Third, I'd kept finances completely separate. Rachel's name wasn't on any business accounts. She'd never signed a document, never been listed as a member. She has no claim to the business, Gregory confirmed. What about the house? It's in your name, purchased during the marriage. She could argue it's marital property. I nodded slowly. What if I didn't buy it? Gregory looked up. What do you mean? What if one of my LLCs bought it, and I've been paying rent? He leaned back. Have you? I have now. I restructured everything. The house we lived in was quietly transferred to one of my holding companies. I backdated a lease agreement, market rate, signed by me as landlord and tenant, perfectly legal. Then I did the same with the cars, her Audi, leased by the company, assigned to her as a benefit, the furniture, purchased by the LLC, provided as part of the rental, even the art on the walls, stuff she'd picked out, technically belonged to the company. On paper, Rachel owned nothing. She just didn't know it yet. I gave Tony one more job. I need to know when they're together. Real time. You want to catch them? I want to time it perfectly. He set up monitoring, discreet, legal. Then I waited. The call came on a Thursday evening. I was walking through a new medical building with my project manager when my phone buzzed. Tony. They're at the Crawford. Checked in 20 minutes ago. Room 1847. I looked at my watch. 6:45. I need to leave, I told my project manager. Family thing. I drove downtown. Not to the hotel, to a florist, 3 blocks away. 2 dozen red roses, I said. Card? No card. I walked into the Crawford at 7:30, still in my work clothes, jeans, boots, flannel shirt. The valet was near the entrance, young guy in a burgundy uniform. I walked up to him. Excuse me, I'm looking for my wife. Rachel Foster. Have you seen her? His face changed. And that's when he told me. I stood there with the flowers in my hand, pulled out my phone, opened the text thread with Rachel. Her last message, spa night with the girls. Don't wait up. Love you. I typed, enjoy your last night in my house. Hit send. Then I turned and walked out. I didn't go home. I went to my office, called Gregory. It's time, I said. You're sure? I'm sure. Okay. I'll file first thing tomorrow morning. Next, I called my property manager. Her name is Linda. She'd worked with me for 6 years. I need you to change the locks on the Littleton property tonight. Tonight? Tonight. And I need you to document everything inside. Photos, inventory, all of it. There was a pause. David, what's happening? I'm protecting my assets. She didn't ask anything else. I'll have a crew there in an hour. Then I called Tony. I need you to serve her tomorrow at her office. You want her served at work? I want her to understand this isn't a conversation. Consider it done. I sat in my office until midnight, staring at my phone. Rachel hadn't responded. She was probably with him, laughing, celebrating, thinking she'd gotten away with it. At 12:50, my phone buzzed. Rachel, what are you talking about? I didn't respond. 3 minutes later, David, answer me, then, this isn't funny. Then, I'm coming home. I typed one word, don't. She called. I didn't answer. She called again, and again. I turned off my phone and slept on the couch in my office. For the first time in months, I slept through the night. The next morning I was up at 6, showered at the gym, got coffee, drove to a site inspection. At 9:20, Tony sent me a photo. Rachel, standing in the lobby of her office building, holding a manila envelope. Her face was pale. Caption, delivered. I looked at the photo for a long time. Then I put my phone away and got back to work. She called 43 times that day. I didn't answer. She texted, we need to talk. This is insane. You can't just lock me out of my own house. I have rights. David, please. I responded once. At 5 in the afternoon, all communication goes through my attorney, Gregory Fan. His number is on the papers. That was it. By the end of the week, Rachel had hired a lawyer. Her name was Monica Brennan. Aggressive, expensive, known for going after men in divorce cases. She sent Gregory a letter demanding immediate access to the house, the cars, financial records, threatening sanctions if I didn't comply. Gregory called me. She's coming in hot. Let her. David, she's going to argue you're hiding assets, that the LLCs are fake, that you're trying to defraud her. Can she prove it? No, but she can make noise. Let her make noise, I said. I've got documentation going back 9 years. Everything's clean. All right, but be ready. This is going to get ugly. It already is. The first hearing was 2 weeks later. Temporary orders. Who gets what while the divorce is pending? Rachel wanted the house, her car, $10,000 a month in temporary support. I sat across from her in the courtroom. She wouldn't look at me. Monica stood up first. Your Honor, my client has been locked out of her home with no notice, no access to her belongings, no financial support. The judge was a woman in her 60s, Judge Patricia Nguyen. She looked at me. Mr. Foster? Gregory stood. Your Honor, the property in question is not owned by Mr. Foster. It's owned by Foster Properties LLC, a company established in 2012. Mr. Foster is a tenant. Monica scoffed. That's absurd. He's trying to hide assets. I'm not hiding anything, Gregory said calmly. I'm clarifying ownership. The LLC owns the property. Mr. Foster pays rent. Mrs. Foster was a guest. Judge Nguyen frowned. Mrs. Foster never signed a lease? No, Your Honor. Did she contribute to payments? There are no mortgage payments, Your Honor. The property was purchased outright by the LLC. Monica jumped in. Your Honor, this is clearly a sham designed to— Do you have evidence it's a sham? The judge asked. Well, because if the LLC was established before the marriage and Mrs. Foster never held an ownership stake, then it's not a marital asset. Monica's jaw tightened. We'll be filing discovery requests. You're welcome to, Judge Nguyen said. But until you can prove otherwise, Mr. Foster is under no obligation to provide access to a property he doesn't own. She turned to me. Mr. Foster, where is Mrs. Foster currently residing? I believe she's staying with a friend, Your Honor. And her vehicle? Also owned by the LLC. It's been returned to the company. Rachel's head snapped up. You took my car. It wasn't your car, I said quietly. Judge Nguyen banged her gavel. Enough. Mrs. Foster, you'll need to make your own arrangements. Mr. Foster, you'll provide a list of Mrs. Foster's personal belongings. She'll have supervised access to retrieve them. Your Honor, Monica started. That's my ruling. Outside the courtroom, Rachel cornered me. You bastard. I didn't say anything. You're really going to do this? Do what? I asked, Protect what's mine. I'm your wife. You were my wife, I said. Now you're just someone who made a choice. Her eyes filled. I made a mistake. You made a choice, I repeated. You chose him. You chose hotels and lies and deciding I wasn't enough. David, please, we can fix this. No, I said. We can't. I walked away. Behind me, I heard her start to cry. I didn't look back. Outside the courtroom, Rachel cornered me in the hallway. You bastard. I stopped, turned to face her. You're really going to do this? She said. Do what? Destroy me. I'm protecting what's mine. I'm your wife. You were my wife, I said. Now you're just someone who made a choice. Her eyes filled with tears. I made a mistake. You made a choice, I repeated. You chose him. You chose hotels and lies. You chose to think I wasn't enough. David, please, we can fix this. No, I said. We can't. I walked away. Behind me, I heard her crying. I didn't look back. Over the next 3 months, Monica tried everything. She subpoenaed my business records. Gregory provided them. Every LLC, every property, every transaction, all documented, all legal, all established before the marriage or kept completely separate. She argued I'd co-mingled funds. Gregory showed I'd kept meticulous records. Every personal expense from personal accounts. Every business expense from business accounts. She tried to claim I'd used marital funds to grow the business. Gregory showed the business had grown through reinvestment of its own profits, not a single dollar from joint accounts. She demanded a forensic accountant. The accountant spent 6 weeks reviewing everything, then confirmed what Gregory had said. At every turn, Monica hit a wall. Because I'd built those walls carefully, deliberately, not to hurt Rachel, to protect what I'd built. 4 months after I filed, we were back in court. Final hearing. Monica made one last attempt. Your Honor, my client has been married to Mr. Foster for 9 years. She supported him. She maintained their home. She contributed to their life together. She deserves compensation. Judge Briggs looked at me. Gregory stood. Your Honor, Mrs. Foster earned $130,000 annually during the marriage. She maintained her own career, her own finances. She was never dependent on Mr. Foster. She lived in his house, Monica said. She lived in a house owned by his company, Gregory corrected. Rent-free, as a courtesy. She drove a car he provided. A company car, assigned as a benefit. Monica's voice rose. Your Honor, he's playing games. I'm following the law, Gregory said calmly. Mrs. Foster is entitled to half of the marital assets, but Mr. Foster's business is not a marital asset. Judge Briggs reviewed the file, flipped through pages, sighed. I agree, she said finally. Monica's face fell. Mrs. Foster is entitled to half of the joint accounts, which total approximately $38,000. She's entitled to her personal belongings, her retirement account, and her vehicle, which she'll need to purchase or lease independently. She looked at Rachel. Mrs. Foster, I understand you're disappointed, but the law is clear. Assets established before the marriage and kept separate during the marriage are not subject to division. Rachel's voice was barely audible. That's it? That's it. The gavel fell. Outside, Rachel stood on the courthouse steps. She looked lost. I walked past her, then stopped. For what it's worth, I said. I would have given you everything if you'd just been honest. She looked up at me. Mascara streaked down her face. I didn't know, she whispered. You didn't ask, I said. You just assumed I wasn't enough. I handed her an envelope. What's this? A check, $50,000. It's not required, it's not part of the settlement, it's just so you can get on your feet. She stared at it. Why? Because I'm not doing this to destroy you, I said. I'm doing it to protect myself. I walked away. That was the last time I saw her. 6 months later, I sold one of my properties, a medical office building in Arvada, $8.3 million. I used part of the profit to buy a penthouse in downtown Denver. Floor-to-ceiling windows, view of the mountains, 2,000 square feet. I didn't buy it to show off. I bought it because I finally could, because I wasn't hiding anymore. I started dating again. Slowly. Carefully. I met a woman named Sarah. She's a librarian, makes $54,000 a year, drives a Toyota, packs her lunch, thinks $90 dinners are extravagant. On our third date, I told her the truth. We were sitting in a coffee shop. She was telling me about a book club she runs. I need you to know something, I said. She looked up. Okay. I'm financially comfortable. She smiled. Comfortable? What does that mean? It means I own some properties. I do okay. How okay? I took a breath. Very okay. She studied my face for a moment. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't want secrets. She nodded slowly. Does it change who you are? No. Then it doesn't change how I see you. We've been together for 10 months now. She still doesn't know the exact numbers, and she's never asked, because she loves me, not my portfolio. As for Rachel, I heard through a mutual friend that she and Eric broke up 4 months after the divorce. Turns out his lifestyle was funded by credit cards and loans. When the bills came due, the Mercedes got repossessed. The fancy dinners stopped. The illusion shattered. She's still working. Same company, same job, same salary. But she's starting over. Alone. I don't take pleasure in that. But I don't regret it either. Here's what I learned. You can't build a life with someone who doesn't see your value. You can't love someone into respecting you. And you can't protect yourself after the damage is done. You have to build the walls before the storm. I built mine carefully, legally, quietly, not because I expected betrayal, because I respected what I'd built too much to leave it unprotected. When Rachel walked out of that hotel with another man, she thought she was walking toward something better. She didn't realize she was walking away from everything. I was sitting in my office last Tuesday when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? David, it's Mark Hendricks. I remembered him. We'd worked together on a property deal 5 years ago. Good guy, quiet, smart. Mark, how are you? There was a pause. I need some advice. Do you have time for coffee? We met the next day at a place near Union Station. He looked tired, older than I remembered. What's going on? I asked. He pulled out his phone, showed me a text from his wife. Working late again. Don't wait up. She's been saying that a lot lately, he said quietly. I looked at him, didn't say anything. I found a receipt, he continued, for a hotel, last month. Same night she said she was at a conference. He put the phone down. I don't know what to do. I took a sip of coffee. Do you own anything? We have a house, some savings. I have a small business, landscaping company. Is her name on the business? He shook his head. No, I started it before we got married. Good, I said. Keep it that way. He looked at me. What do I do? I wrote a name and number on a napkin, slid it across the table. Call him, tell him I sent you. He'll know what to do. Mark picked up the napkin, folded it carefully, put it in his wallet. Thank you, he said. I nodded. Protect what you built, Mark, before you have to. We finished our coffee, shook hands. He walked out into the cold afternoon. I stayed for a few more minutes, watching people walk past the window, listening to the quiet hum of the espresso machine. Then I paid, walked outside, got in my truck, drove home. Sarah was already there when I arrived. She'd made dinner. Something simple. Pasta, salad, wine. We ate together, talked about her day, about a new book she was reading, about plans for the weekend, normal things, real things. After dinner, I cleaned the dishes while she sat at the counter reading. The apartment was quiet, warm, settled. I put the last plate in the dishwasher, dried my hands, looked out the window at the mountains in the distance, and I felt at peace. If this story resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button and subscribe. I'd also love to know where you're watching from. Drop a comment with your city and what time it is where you are right now. It's always amazing to see how far these stories travel. 2 more stories you might find interesting will appear on your screen next. Thanks for listening. Take care.